taking care of this government.
What is he waiting for then, considering he says not so soon that you'll hear from me about retirement? What
well,
do you
the
think
point is, I mean, why should he announce a date of retirement when it is not necessary?
But why should he also indicate that he's not going to retire so soon? In yesterday's statement,
the point is, I think, you know, when a pointed question was asked to him as to, are you going to announce a plan today? I mean, today happens to be the 87th birthday, and that date could not have been changed. And it is not necessary that he announces it today because the media wants it today. It's as simple as that.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
It was not the media which asked. It was Karunanidhi who announced, long before the announcement of preparations for the World Tamil Conference, that he would quit. He would retire
sometime end of June.
Sometime end of June.
In fact,
after the conference.
To a general question on reminding him about that announcement he had made, he made this very, which we in fact aired, saying, you're not going to hear about any changes, nor there's any news from me which is going to be disappointing. Do you think that apart from succession plan, let's leave the succession plan for a bit. The elections are up ahead in Tamil Nadu within a few months, less than a year in fact. Will that be a challenge for the DMK for him to?
I will. In my perception, it will be like this. Karunanidhi probably will steer the party the next elections.
Even then, as a chief ministerial candidate.
In terms of succession, there is the succession of who will be the next chief minister. There could be an issue about who succeeds to lead the party and so on and so forth. I have a feeling that it's not going. Neither of the two is going to be announced immediately, but post 2011, and in the event the DMK gets a majority, forms a government and so on and so forth, that issue could be taken up at that point of time. But when I say this, it's also possible that one fine day in the month of June, July or any time that Karunanidhi takes a decision that enough is enough, I am going. But I think, you know, if political logic is to be followed, it's possible that he is there at least as a notional head of the party, steering the party in 2011, but at the same time sending a very clear message or a signal that Stalin will probably succeed him as chief minister of the state.
All right, that seems to be a very strong signal, and I completely agree with you on that. But the fact that you're saying that the succession plan is more or less in place, do you agree with that? Do you think that this is only a calm before a storm?
If wishes their horses, beggars would ride. Karunanidhi would want a smooth succession. I don't think it's going to be a smooth succession. That's the reason why he is, you know, blowing hot and cold on that. And the second point is, now that he has announced he is going to retire, it doesn't matter whether he retires in June or in next year. The next election, whenever it is held, the people know he is not going to be the next chief minister. Because in Tamil Nadu, the elections are held on the basis of presidential candidate.
You
project a leader as a chief minister.
This very subject, Mr. Murari, about you know, him pulling back and forth and perhaps putting the real big announcement, a formal announcement, on hold. How much of a role will that play during the election?
That's exactly what I mean. Here, it personality oriented. It will be all along. It was Karunanidhi versus MGR, then Karunanidhi versus Jayalalitha. In the next election, it will not be Karunanidhi versus Jayalalitha. It will be Stalin versus Jayalalitha. My guess is, if Karunanidhi is able to convince Alagiri to play the role of a party chief, like Sonia Gandhi and Manmohan Singh, that kind of an arrangement here, then he will go ahead with the retirement, will be a patriarch and lead the party.
You think that's something that Alagiri, who we call the prodigal son, will accept?
Well, the point is, I think at some given point of time, it will be a tussle between the two as to who controls a larger section of the party organization.
Of the party, and not really the public post.
Even today is a cadre-based party. I mean, for instance, you cannot talk of the DMK, let's say in Salem, keeping Veerapandi Arumugam out. Absolutely. You cannot talk about the DMK in Trichy keeping Nehru out. So there are the local leaders, the chieftains of the party in various districts who also have accepted the party chief in Karunanidhi. So I think the point of time that we are talking about, the debate or the issue would be who between the two sons have a larger following from among the district. Let's not forget that when Mr. Karunanidhi took over the mantle, or rather inherited the mantle from Annadurai in 1969, it was almost a similar kind of situation. It weren't sons of Annadurai. Annadurai did not actually have that kind of a problem to handle, but there were other leaders like E.V.K. Sampath, Karunanidhi and a host of them, and there was the Vellore conference where a lot of drama took place. So these are all issues that will probably play up as and when they play up.
But both of you rule out the fact that he will be the chief ministerial candidate during the next election? Do you?
Well, I mean,
Really?
I think having followed Indian politics for quite some time, I will not rule out anything.
You won't?
No,
Okay.
I will say, even if he wants to, his health will not permit.
His health will
Let's
not
be
permit.
fair to him. He has been, he's been very active despite all the debilitating health and all that. But I don't think he will be able to even campaign. He has not been able to go around. If you remember all the by-elections, he has left it to delegating authority to Stalin. He is preparing Stalin to succeed. That is fine. That is an internal matter. Finally, he has to be acceptable to the people, whoever he chooses. There, Karnataka can only be a guide, patriarch. To what extent Stalin will be acceptable to the people against Jayalalitha is a matter to be decided in the next election.
Right, but apart from, of course, him as a politician, do you think now he'll have a difficult time playing a father?
Naturally, when two sons fight over whatever is called, if you call it a fiefdom, it should not be a very happy situation for the father. Now, too much is being made about Karunanidhi's statement handing over his house to a trust for running a hospital.
Yes.
When a question was asked, the house was registered in the name of all the three sons. Then he says his sons would not go against his wishes. That's fine as far as the house is concerned, but not Tamil Nadu, not politics. It's a different ball game altogether. He is trying to oversimplify it.
Okay, oversimplify it. You think that's a term that works well, considering he says don't make too much of a hue and cry about it, and this obviously is one of the biggest topics that political analysts are absolutely very keen to watch. In fact, I'm being told that Khushbu is at the moment making her maiden speech, and we might just want to listen to her, just interrupt the discussion a bit.
மலவான பலவான நம்பர் 1 மாநிலமாக்கும் தன் தந்தையின் கனவை தன் அயராத உழைப்பால் சாதிக் கொண்டிருக்கும் மாண்புமிகு தளபதி அவர்களே, மாண்புமிகு அமைச்சர் ஆர் கார்த்திகேயசாமி அவர்களே, மாண்புமிகு அமைச்சர் துரை முருகன் அவர்களே, மாண்புமிகு அமைச்சர் பர்தீலம் மழுதி அவர்களே, கழக துணை பொதுச் செயலாளர் அம்மா சரோஜா பாண்டியன் அவர்களே.
Right, she is one of the high-profile candidates. Her mood is just upbeat, Khushbu, after that victory from 23 criminal cases which the Supreme Court gave her a shot in the arm. People like Khushbu, for instance, considering Rahul Gandhi has been making just too many trips to Tamil Nadu and trying to create a UP out of Tamil Nadu, for, that at least will be his hope, trying to strengthen the youth in the state. Someone like Stalin, do you think will be, who's had this image of being a modern leader, someone like him, do you think will be able to give him that kind of counter? Let's talk about the prospects of the DMK.
Well, I think, let's be very clear, and
yes.
that is a very, very important dimension of the DMK.
Yes.
Insofar as Indian politics is concerned, that ever since the DMK came to power in 1967, and I mean, for almost 40 years after that or more than that, Karunanidhi has been running the party. The fact is that the Congress eye has never been able to establish itself or reinvent itself in Tamil Nadu. And I do not see Rahul Gandhi's trips to Tamil Nadu, secret or open and so on and so forth, going to be making any serious impact, because the political discourse is much, much different rather than actually a leader coming. We are not living in the 50s for a leader, a charismatic leader to come and capture the mood of a state. So right. I don't think I mean Rahul Gandhi being some kind of a threat or a challenge to Stalin and so on. The DMK is a political party, as I mentioned earlier, built of cadres.
Right. We have in fact 2 points of view. You have a point.
I have a different point of view on that.
Okay.
He says we are not living in the 50s where charismatic leaders can sway. If that is the case, then how do you explain Karunanidhi phenomenon?
Then how
or
come
MGR phenomenon or
working
Jayalalitha phenomenon? It's totally personality oriented. So you can say Rajiv Gandhi made 13 trips during 89 when the Congress went alone, and still it was not able to come to power. That's a different matter altogether, because people had high regard for Rajiv Gandhi, but there was no matching organizational structure in the Congress. That's the structural weakness of the Congress. So Rahul Gandhi can make a difference in the long run, not immediately. Not
immediately, but perhaps some impact will be there. But I'm being told that we're kind of over on the discussion, but a quick 30 seconds to each of you, considering we're having a 2 points point of views. One, who thinks that perhaps you never know in politics, you really can't guess. The Chief Minister could in fact be the Chief Ministerial candidate yet again during the elections, and Mr. Murari, who thinks that his health may not permit. But for the other time, any other challenges that you think Mr. Karunanidhi will have in this particular year, apart from handing over the baton to either of his sons?
I think the fiscal crisis that probably would develop, given the kind of schemes, I mean, some of them very populist and some of them welfareist. The fiscal crisis that the state government will come to face in the coming times would be one of the major challenges that Karunanidhi has.
A very pertinent point by you there. In fact, I was just thinking on my way to office, considering gold prices have shot up to almost what, 19,000 rupees, and you have our politicians who are making promises like name your baby with a Tamil name and we'll give you a gram of gold, and you know, it is quite an attractive scheme. Mr. Murari, 30 seconds to you, sir. What do you think will be a challenge for the Chief Minister apart from handing over the baton?
I'll stick to politics. It's going to be managing the coalition. The Congress is going to demand its pound of flesh in the next election, because Congress knows Karunanidhi is on his way out. So not like 2009 when Congress shared power with Karunanidhi there, but Karunanidhi refused to share power with the Congress here. That will not hold water anymore.
All right, all right. Very tough year it seems for the Chief Minister, his 87th year, after so many years of smooth sailing, after so much of political reputation and glory. After all, the 87th year, it seems, is not going to be so easy, is not going to be a cakewalk. That seems to be a more or less open-ended discussion. We'll leave it there, but we'll take a short break now. It seems that actress Nadia has now hit the jackpot after Khushbu was asked to leave by Jaya TV.